on Twitch. Yep.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, looks
Good.
like we're live. All right, I'll leave it to you two to introduce this one.
Okay, very good.
So, hello everybody. I'm Jacob.
And I'm Ollie.
This is Drawing Discussions and Dungeons and Dragons. It's basically going to be me and Ollie shooting the shit about D&D, playing some nice tracks to maybe include in some of your D&D games, whilst our wonderful artist Aries gets on with some of the chibis that you guys donated for. So, yeah. I think, Ollie, I think what we should do first is get started with some kind of nice ambience track, and then maybe talk about some D&D, related to.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think you should start off with one of your tracks, considering that the majority of mine are battle music type things.
So we'll start you off with a sort of nice tavern music to accompany Aries' drawing. Then in about 5 or so minutes, we'll be back to talk about some D&D. Oh, hello.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty chill, to start off with.
Yeah.
Definitely ambience type stuff.
Yeah. So you wanted to talk about using music in D&D games, didn't you?
Yeah. I feel like the DMs do it differently all the time, and it's something that should be discussed at least semi-frequently, just for everyone to help each other out, and to get player experiences involved as well. I know that my use of battle music is sort of sometimes is good and sometimes is less favoured by players, and I like getting feedback on that. Obviously, we won't be able to play everything that I could usually play using just YouTube and the bot on Discord, or in a room as he did pre-corona. But I definitely think that some of the music on tabletop audio is sufficiently sort of the same mood that you could get. But yeah, just would like your thoughts on stuff that you might play in certain situations. If you're talking ambiance in like a tundra or some kind of battle that goes on in a different dimension or something strange like that, I don't know. I quite often find that I hear a piece of music and think that would work well in X situation.
So, I definitely think in general, just like having background music, I can't play D&D without background music. Like, even when I'm even if I'm playing in a game and there's no music, I just put on something of my own. I feel, just sort of adds to the mood almost. As for my own tracks, I actually I think I've got the same thing as you, where I usually have like a sort of I do it in sort of like reversed. Like, I find a song and I really like it, and I just include it in my indie songs. Game soundtracks, obviously we can't play them here because of Twitch restrictions, but if you're looking for like good ambience, The Witcher 3 is nice for like sort of wilderness Slavic climates, because that soundtrack was very much based in those sorts of things. So it has a couple of really, really nice tracks for that that you can search up and use.
Yeah, I found one of my players suggested a while back, Isaac, told me about the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon soundtrack, and there are a couple of tracks on there that I use for sort of eerie locations. It helps with dungeon crawling, although I tend to prefer in heavy roleplay scenarios not having any background music. If it's some kind of tense encounter, then I definitely would use some. But if it's having an important discussion, sometimes maybe a little ambience is all right. But I tend to just favour not having any. Maybe that's just me being lazy, but quite often I quite like the music to make the music more impactful. I like to put it at tense moments and during combat, which is why most of my music is primarily battle music. The Ruby soundtrack, obviously, lots of it has lyrics, and anyone who knows me knows I'm a massive fan of the show. But there are instrumental versions on YouTube. I think the channel name is Dystophic, that produces the instrumentals, or at least publishes them, and those are extremely good, especially for battle situations. If you want to make something more tense, more lively, it's a very nice way to spice it up a bit.
Yeah, I think I forgot what I was going to say. I think that sometimes just need to let the gravity of the situation handle itself. There's no need to just shove music everywhere. With that though, should I our next track?
Yes, let's go with a battle one. Yes, Cry Havoc on Tabletop Audio.
One that Ollie found.
Yeah, we'll discuss it a little bit afterwards, and then move on to a different topic.
Where is it? So enjoy this one for a bit, and we will be right back afterwards.
I felt like that was probably a good place to end that track, and we will have more time for other stuff then.
Yeah.
Sorry if that was a little bit unexpected, but I thought that would be a good point to finish that one. Yeah, I just wanted to lead on from that in sort of a tangent and go on to some more battle music stuff.
So, okay, so here's a question for you. In terms of D&D, like how lethal are your D&D campaigns usually? I'm wondering, because I have a huge problem with this actually. I hate killing my players, and to the point where it sometimes negatively impacts my experience. And I was just wondering how you handle that.
Okay, I tend to avoid player character death as much as possible. Although I have had the one long-lasting campaign that I've had has actually been at university with people I met in the first week in Freshers Week, and that campaign has been going ever since. It meets pretty much every week and has continued to meet in lockdown. So shout out to any of my players who are listening right now, because they always manage to be at the right place when we've all agreed. But in that campaign, we've had 2 player character deaths since the start of the year. One of them was in a party conflict when the party was divided at the top of a big tower on who to side with in terms of factions. There was a big faction meetup, and character ideals sort of clashed. The second was in a boss fight, and I ensured that it went with style, basically. And I checked beforehand with that player that they wanted to play a new character, which they did.
Yeah.
And quite often I feel like that's an extremely good way to transition a player to a different character, sorry.
Yeah.
If they die in a blaze of glory, I feel like that can be just as rewarding as trying to keep that character going if you're desperate to play a new one.
So no, that seems fair. Like the sort of PvP players, I think, are the most trickier ones, because it can be difficult sometimes to separate the feelings of the players at the table from the feelings that are occurring within the game, if you get what I mean.
Yes, yeah. Eventually, it was a case of the character that was being played in the faction fight was specifically one which stuck to their ideals extremely heavily. That ultimately led to the party conflict, but the finishing blow was dealt by a member of the faction that they had chose to side with.
Ooh, that's spicy.
And another of the NPCs was also killed in that fight. I do tend to let the fight sort of dictate itself. Once I have the stats, the combatants all set up and their characters sort of analysed, I like to sort of let the battle flow along, which is why I'm also quite careful if there's a major fight like a mini boss or a boss to pick the music that I use for that encounter extremely sort of specifically. Like I have a folder for RPG music. Some of it's general music, and some of it's like I'll say, okay, I'm going to keep this one. I'll write it down in my notes to play this track because I feel like it goes really well. For example,
yeah. See, I try to do that, but a lot of the time I just can't help myself. Like
you really want to play something
I want to use, and I just play early. Yeah, and it's so hard to like.
Or sometimes you look back and you think, I used that song ages ago in some random encounter, and now I really want to use it again. There's a song that I would play right now to demonstrate because it is really good, but I can't obviously. God Mode by Sons of Ammon. It's pretty good, but I used it a while ago in a mini boss fight, and I feel like I kind of wasted the potential of it. And there's another one that I used, Blitzkrieg by Audio Machine. I used that one, and then I immediately thought, because all the players were like, oh damn, this is pretty good, and I thought, damn, I've wasted an opportunity to use this in some major fight. But that just tends to happen quite a lot.
I kind of get that feeling. But yeah, the point about your player character deaths is also interesting because I guess that's also one of the things need to be that's one of the things I struggle with a bit as the DM is, balance. Like when something seems to go south, I almost always think, oh no, this is a tragedy. But sometimes, you just need to let the battle flow out and see what happens. Which is something I admire one of my current DMs for. He doesn't cheat rolls, and he will, always see a fight through, no matter how tragically it seems to be going.
Right.
Which makes for some really nice, intense moments.
The campaign at the moment, because I've homebrewed a load of magic items and spells, seems to be going in the player's favor. So quite often I will adjust to make something harder because they're really good, which is a lot easier to do than to adjust something to make it easier. Because then you feel like the enemies sort of fall off a cliff. Whereas if they grow in power, it kind of makes sense. Over the course of the fight, as they get angrier, they use more powerful abilities, or they strike harder, or something like that. You can sort of feasibly make it work. If you try and nerf an enemy halfway through a fight, you think, well, what happened there?
Yeah, no, that's actually an interesting point. So,
and that's quite why I sometimes like doing a nice tangent into possibly the next song, unless you've got something to say on top of this.
No, I just wanted to say that the drawing that Ares is doing right now is coming along absolutely beautifully.
It is. It will continue to do so, I imagine.
Oh,
but yeah, it's
Sorry?
I think they said thank you.
This is one of Benji's character. I'm trying to juggle drawing, looking at all the references and stuff is kind of hard.
Yeah, that is
fair enough.
All right. I'll
so
myself.
very good. So the next track that I'm hoping to play is Field of Heroes, something like that.
Sure.
And that one is one that it's sort of I would play if the battle started to get harder or it started to intensify, like more people show up or something like that. It leads quite nicely from the first one, so I might end up at some point using them in tangent in a campaign.
Yeah, and we'll just play that one for you right now, and we'll be back in a... Hello?
Okay. I feel like that was a good moment to end the track.
Yeah.
But yeah, I quite like how that one leads in from the other one. You could use it to be a sort of prelude to battle as well. But I feel like that accounts for a lot of the battle tracks on tabletop audio.
I have a question for you, Ollie. Speaking in terms of 5th edition, which I think is probably the most popular edition of D&D, what's your favorite class to play?
My favorite class to play? Ooh. I'd say it really depends on what kind of subclass you want to play and what character you like to play. Because I have a hard time picking a class and then forming a character around it. I like to form a character and then think what class would best suit that character. If that makes any sense.
No, that's fine.
With although I'd say in terms of what's fun to play, I quite like Sorcerer as sort of a third pick. Maybe Warlock as a although I really like Hexblade, so I might have to put that higher up. But I do like sort of Divine Casters and Sorcerers, probably my favourite ones.
I do like myself some Divine Casters, like Paladins, Clerics. For a long time, I played almost exclusively Paladins.
Right. I suppose I've been sort of inspired as well by one of my friends and players. Alex plays a Grave Cleric of the Raven Queen, and has influenced my campaign so much that the major faction changed religion.
Oh wow, that is pretty amazing.
But it's I always used to, when I was new to D&D, I thought, clerics, they go around prancing around with light all over their armor, healing things, and then you've got nope, it just isn't. And there's way more than the stereotype there. It's the same as the whole rogues are always evil, stealing things and assassinating people kind of stereotype, or the warlocks are always insane kind of thing. You can always find exceptions that are really fun to play.
So I've recently actually been playing a druid, and that's been really fun. Circle of Shepherds. You have a lot of really cool support options, and if you combine it with a dip in life cleric, which I did, you can become a real healing powerhouse.
Cool.
So that's been pretty fun.
I haven't actually played a druid myself, but I've had games with druids in. One of the things they seem to do really well is sustain lots and then suddenly do a burst of damage.
I've actually found that they're more like they have a lot of consistent damage, because you have stuff like Moonbeam. That's just a lot of,
yeah.
2d10.
Maybe it's just that because at level 5, that's kind of, they're reliant on that for damage. Because my player who's playing a druid online, he used that quite a lot when enemies were in a line. So would sort of tank a load of hits for the team, and then be able to dish out finishing blows on 3 opponents at once. So maybe it's just the range and not necessarily the damage that makes that such a burst ability.
Like, so I guess another thing is, what sorts of locations do a campus take place? Or like, do you have your own custom world? Because I make my own custom worlds, and
I haven't done maps for everything, and sometimes I take inspiration from Reddit for D&D maps, especially with some of the ones that are nicely gridded already that you can stick on Roll20. But I do try and find the closest thing to the location that I have in mind, and then explain small differences if I make them.
Yeah,
I did homebrew a continent for my campaign. It has I think about 22 unique locations, and then it's split into 5 kingdoms, which each have locations in them as well. And it's sometimes a challenge trying to keep all of them in your mind at the same time, as if, well, what if they suddenly want to go there, or if they suddenly want to go here?
Yeah, I had a bit of that issue because I actually, because I'm bad with maps, I semi-randomly generated a map on Donjon, and then I had the issue where my players would look at some random thing the map generated, like, "Ooh, what's that? That's a cool thing. I want to go there." I'm like, I haven't thought about this at all. But
Right.
that's just I just try to roll with it and see what comes out of it.
Okay.
Though I think now would be a nice time for another song. This one's called Dwarven City. It's like more of an ambience one, but it's very nice. I do like those sort of like industrial climate. So I'm going to put that on real quick.
Very good. We'll be back in a bit then.
Yeah. So you guys, again, this one's more ambient. So you guys enjoy this whilst marveling at this wonderful drawing that Aries is doing, and we will see you in just a moment. Hello.
Yeah, I really like that track actually. I feel like it's suspenseful but also calm at the same time.
Yeah, as I said, I like those sort of. I really like the kind of chain gang type songs, like what was it? Warframe's we all live together has that nice chain gang feel to it. I kind of like those songs and the sort of songs about with dwarves, they kind of really satisfy that urge for me because dwarves are those kind of industrial race very commonly. So I kind of
Yeah.
I really like that.
I really don't think I utilize race tendencies enough in my campaign. I feel like when I made the campaign, I based it on sort of the ongoing war between the orcs and the ogres, and the Elven Alliance, which was comprised of elves and dwarves and gnomes and that type of people. I don't think I emphasized that enough as I was going through the campaign. By this point in the campaign, it's transcended far enough that that's no longer important anymore in terms of the major factions. But I feel like I could have played it more initially.
Well, yeah, I guess with those sort of big complex, sometimes it's very easy to get a bit in over your head of managing what's what. But the way I like to approach is I do world building piece by piece. Like, so when my party enter a particular location, I write up something about that location, and then see how would that location have grown regarding all the surrounding features, what's happening.
Definitely. Yeah, I like to. I totally agree with you. I think it's then good to take that location and add things in it that can tie it to other locations, especially if they sort of go nicely chronologically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think a really nice something one of my other DMs did, which I think is a very useful information to keep in mind, is that when he did the world building for his game, he sort of sorted it by ages. So rather than having concrete dates, he was like, this was the age of like darkness where this and this things happened. This was the age of whatever where this was the general state of affairs. And I really like that. I think that fits. That's a very nice fit.
I feel like that's. I tend to work when I'm talking about artifacts in centuries, but I feel like that's actually a better system because then I don't have to be as specific with the dates. At the same time, if there are then two things that happen in the same year, because of how widespread the history is in my world, it then emphasizes to the players how significant that is, that it's at the same time.
Yeah, no, that.
So there are benefits to using either system, and I think both are good in their own ways.
No, that sounds that does sound sensible. Generally just God, what was I? Sorry, it's a bit late, but yeah, no, I also get the problem because I procrastinate a lot.
Yeah.
So sometimes I don't really get as far as I should be with like working out details of things.
Definitely. I mean, I've been working on an entire RPG system, unofficial tabletop game for Ruby. I've been working with a few people who I've met on the r/Ruby Discord and Reddit, and time zones are a problem. But the main issue is actually doing the work for it because I finished all my assignments. I thought, what can I do? I'll stream this, that, and the other game, or I'll work out more because I've been aiming to do that for ages, which I have actually started doing. But it's one of those things that you end up getting lost in other stuff to do. There's always stuff to do, and you think, I could be reading this, or I could be doing that, or
I feel you because I did that. Like, I finished with my exams and assignments, and then immediately threw myself into making a mod, DMing like 3 campaigns, and just like a bunch of other things. So it's just like I just overloaded myself otherwise because there's always stuff to do. There's always things you want to do.
Exactly. There's just not enough time in the world to do everything that you want all the time.
Yeah, and on that slightly depressing note, I think we might we'll throw to another song. Ice Throne, I think you want to.
Yes, this is it's got sort of the same feel as the one we played just, but at the same time I feel like it could be used in any kind of frigid situation, not necessarily just in a cold environment, but it's almost sort of it is chilling. I feel it sort of gives an aura of inhospitability.
Yeah.
In that whatever that word is.
Inhospitability. Yeah.
Yes, that is a word. Very good.
But yeah, that one's playing right now. So
be right back.
Eri, do you know when we're going on?
You should be going on until.
Because is it on the hour? Is it, or is it like 15 minutes or what?
Hang on.
I think we could have time for one more track each. I reckon would be a good idea.
Let me go look at the radio website and double check.
We're very organised, we promise.
Yeah, DD and D&D is meant to go on till about 11ish, but that gives a whole half an hour for an interlude, so it's fine if you
in that case,
I think we could have time for if we just keep conversation short or talk over. We should have time for one more each.
Well, one more each. So for now, we'll let this play for a bit, and then we'll be right back.
Okay. Okay. I was thinking we can take the quick time before the next two to talk about maybe other soundtracks that we would like to use that we can't use on Twitch. Because I've got a couple more suggestions. I don't know about you.
Yeah. So that the number one thing that I'm going to say, and this is a hill I will die on, Japanese RPGs. have like the best soundtracks just in general. Like
You will get no quarry from me
like
there.
they just
No.
slap. Just look up games like Fire Emblem, Octopath Traveler, Xenoblade Chronicles. The music is brilliant.
Yep, you'll get no quarrel from me there. As anyone who knows me knows, I'm a massive anime and JRPG fan in general.
Yeah, yes, Nathan agrees. Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah.
So those are really good shouts because they're also like very orchestral a lot of the time, meaning they're very good for those like big grandiose moments. Like I use them quite a lot because they just have that oomph to them.
Yeah, definitely agree. I feel like the anime soundtracks do that as well. You have to pick the right one though. Like I said before, Ruby is a massive one that I've used. Hunter x Hunter is also one that I've used quite a lot. If anyone wants some like properly epic vocals, look up Riot from the Hunter x Hunter soundtrack. It's honestly brilliant, and the Phantom Troop, which is sort of the theme that the faction that the theme goes with, is one of the best sort of sets of antagonists that I've seen in anime for a long time.
Yeah. What was I gonna? Yeah. No. A lot of like shows, like shows and games. They just have very nice soundtracks for you to use in your games. Very nice. If you like playing video games or something, if you see a piece of music that inspires you, it's a good idea to just jot it down. Maybe find it somewhere on YouTube. See if you can put it in your game. It does add that kind of very nice touch.
My classic go-to, if I can't think of anything, is to play something from Pokemon, because they always have really nice battle instrumentals. Some of my favourites include the Giratina or Cynthia themes from Gen 4, as well as Gladion's theme from Gen 6, or 7 even. It was 7. God, I feeling old now. Pokemon Platinum is really old now. But
there is one particular track that I kind of really enjoy from Fire Emblem. It's called Dusk Falls. It's a battle music, but it's got like Fire Emblem Fates Conquest actually has like very, very nice bagpipe music, that sort of thing. And Dusk Falls is absolutely like amazing. Just go give it a listen. It is just absolutely beautiful track, and it goes well like with ambience, with like travels, just breathtaking.
Very good. Anakin says he loves Platinum, and Cynthia's theme is a banger. Yeah, it's definitely great. And from what I've heard from my friends who still play Pokemon, I stopped playing, and I stopped playing competitively at exactly the same time at the end of Gen 5. But some of my friends who currently play Pokemon have said that the music, although the music hasn't gone downhill, the gym fights and the champion fights have gotten easier, less challenging.
Land of Steel from Chrono Trigger is a good mystical music theme. I've been meaning to play Chrono Trigger for a long time. I've heard very good things about that game.
Okay, we can continue, I guess, with other recommendations after the next track. I believe we're playing.
I'm playing Country Village. It's a nice, again, I was talking about like sort of ambient themes. This is like feeling like a nice rustic village feel. This is probably a very good background track for when your party's traveling. Just get that playing a good game. Would recommend. Yeah, I've got a lot of games I need to find out. But yeah, we'll play Country Village for you right now. So enjoy Eris's wonderful draw.
And we'll be back very soon.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a good point.
Yeah. Since we are also running towards the end of our little segment, thank you for being here with us. Thank you for donating. We've managed to raise an absolutely incredible amount. I think it was like over £500 now, which is really
ridiculously good. So we'll just go through a couple more recommendations, possibly.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ollie. Give a couple more recommendations, then we'll leave you off with one final song, and then we'll go into our last interlude before getting our last segment and thing on.
Yeah, I've pretty much covered all of the major soundtracks that I like to use. So I'll just give a couple of artists / YouTube channels that you can look up. I found that Mr. Epic OSTs, rather ironically, or not ironically, just well done, does a lot of promotion of artists that you wouldn't usually find who do instrumental type music. Sometimes it's electronic, sometimes it's more traditional, but all of it's pretty good. You can always find something on their YouTube channel that you like, and from them I've managed to find Hellblinde, which I believe are Swedish, and Cabal Mind, and they're both good for D&D battle music. I've found over sort of the time that I've spent on that channel. You can then use that sort of thing and branch out and look for more music, which I feel is a really great resource.
Yeah, that definitely sounds nice. I think sort of looking honestly, if you just do some YouTube searches, you can usually find a ton of really good stuff.
Yeah, it's totally not shameful at all, and I've done it several times to just search something like epic battle music or rock music for battles or something like that, because you will actually find decent content on there. Obviously, don't just blindly pick the first one during a session and play it randomly. But if you take the time to search up and then narrow that search, you can usually find some good stuff just by searching up generic terms.
Yeah, I think we're going to take it to our last song now. This one is.
So I was going to play Clash of Kings next.
No, I thought you said Solemn Vow.
Oh, yes, it was Solemn Vow. Sorry, I've got them wrong in my order because we're playing one fewer.
Yes, Solemn. And that'll be our final one.
It's definitely an inspirational bit of music, and I could see it being used as sort of a transition, a positive transition in a battle when the heroes begin to win, if you like. So I'll leave you with that.
Yeah, there we go. So we'll just get that playing, and that'll be our last song, and then we'll say our goodbyes, and we'll take it to our next segment. So see you. And it is about 1:15, so
Yeah,
we
thank
will
you for-
slowly be wrapping up. Yeah.
Thanks for
We'll
watching
talk
the
a little
segment,
bit.
everybody.
Yeah, thank you for watching the segment.
The art is
this
looking
art-
really good now. I'm
the art is
amazed
looking
at how
really, really
quickly
nice.
it's formed.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll just zoom out.
Yeah, this
so
nice.
provider.
Yeah, but I always like if I ever draw something, like even if it's like a sketch for a map, it takes me ages, but that's been produced in what, like an hour and a bit, and that is really good.
Like that. I do
Turns out,
as you can see, when I sketch like the same thing 5 times.
yeah, as it turns out, Aries is just criminally good at what they.
Shh. Thank you, Jacob. I do appreciate
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
No, it looks really nice. I'm excited to see how the others are going to turn out. I'm sure the people who have donated for their chibis will be.
I mean, you have one. So...
amazing. Yes, I do. I'm also very excited to see it.
Yeah.
Very good.
So yeah, I think that will be it for us. Again, thank you for listening to our songs and our mine and Ollie's ramblings.
Yes.
Thank you for having a look at Aries' wonderful art. Chill Out Nitro is asking how long the list is now. I assume the.
Last I checked, it was at like 6 or 7. But I haven't checked more recently. So.
Okay, that sounds very good to me.
Yeah, I got a lot to get on with in the next couple of weeks.
But it's it's all for a good cause.
Yes, definitely.
I will be bowing out now with Ollie, though I will probably return for the final segment of today, which is Jackbox Party Fun.
I will not, but I appreciate everyone's time and just having the opportunity to do this segment on this well put together stream.
Yeah. I think Anakin said he's just about ready for the interval, so we will bow out now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will stop the stream in a sec. Again, thank you guys for watching and donating, and I hope you'll join us for our last segment of the weekend, which is indeed Jackbox games. So yeah.
Very good. Bye, guys.
See you guys.